So I just said to them, really, look, it was expected. You knew it was going to happen. Suck it up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and deal with it because we're not here to help you.
Are we talking about my perforated rectum? I missed the beginning bit because you weren't talking before the episode started, so it's... Hello, everyone. That's the tone. That's where the tone's starting.
I did not want to spill any of the Conservative tears. Space.
You should never ever spit in the presence of Tories. You should never swallow around Tories either. You should never be around Tories, I think, is what we...
Never swallow, because that's how you get into eating. Anyway, space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior and less political. To review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence. 908 episodes so far. To seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where many of the Star Trek YouTube shows have gone before. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever. It is Friday.
I hope you enjoyed brunch, wherever you are.
Is it Friday? Is it Friday? I think it's Friday. Who cares? I'm airing this anyway. It is Trekking Up North. I am your host, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable Geesian from the planet Honk. It's
Sorry, I messed it up.
Honk! Honk! It's Science Officer Synoiz! Hello!
Hello! I have perpetuated my existence for yet another week, which is you may all applaud rapturously.
We will all applaud, and we will start with the shout-outs before I ask how you are, because no one really cares. Hello to new chatter, or is he? The D-Man. The D-Man. The D-Man, Mr.
That's
David.
what Lee calls himself. You'll notice if you try and get that username on OnlyFans, it is taken.
He's tall, he's handsome, he wears aviators, he's in nice France. It is David Jones, our favourite background actor. Huge shout out because he is in The Boys season 4, which is airing next month on Amazon Prime. So make sure you scour The Boys. So make sure you scour frame by frame for that handsome frame of a man.
I just genuinely love that, like, David's whole thing is being a background actor. It's like, oh, do you want a bigger part? Do you want to do that? Nah, I'm fine, really. So it just becomes like, where's Wally? Where we're literally watching all these shows being like, hang on. So when we were watching, we were watching Strange New Worlds, and I found him in that, but I couldn't find the wizard, the scroll, or the dog. So if anyone has had any success with that, please comment below, I think.
Also, huge shout out to, sorry, I'm choking on Tory tears, but it's so fucking delicious. Huge shout out.
Tory tears.
Delicious Tory tears, formed by only the finest of masking tape. Huge shout out to Captain Joe Dove of Captain's Quadrant. He had surgery yesterday to make himself even more American. Every time he farts now, there's a screaming eagle.
And gunfire.
Gunfire. No, that's when he goes to the lavatory. He has had surgery to make himself more American, but he is well. He is recovering nice, and pretty soon he will be... more American, I guess.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't know where that joke is going to end.
The problem is I've been in my own little world for the last week, so I have no idea what you're talking about, what Joe's surgery.
Oh, my microphone died. Hang on. My headphones died.
Now I don't know. Now I'm genuinely kind of like, what on earth surgery could you have? to
There
make
we
you
go.
more American.
My headset died. Captain Janeway, who was my voiceover in the headset, she's like, power on. And now she was like, you mentioned Tuvix, power off. So I just had to reset that there. What surgery could he have to make himself more American? I don't know. Maybe getting a freedom implant? I don't know. But we wish you a quick and speedy recovery, Captain
I don't know
Jodo.
if this is a hetero thing.
Okay. Hello to Ben Chapman, who has finally swam all the way from the United States to the of them colonies, and has made it to Trekkin up north. Hi,
Hey.
Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Hello to Christopher. Screw you, Christopher. You made Sonic win in the poll.
Can we just say this? If anyone watching this hasn't been paying attention to the drama on the wonderful Facebook group, the Nerdy Up North community that we have, it's basically they have Paul, the cult leader himself, basically puts like sort of vote for this or this kind of polls on, and then we basically sort of work out what is the best. So we had like, what's the best 80s movie? What's the best sort of video game? And we recently had what's the best video game character? And basically, Christopher Reed basically sort of a one man, well, no, half a man campaign to basically make Sonic win against everything because it would piss Paul off. And the amount of effort that went into this campaign and the amount of memes he generated and the amount of slaving over a sort of hot Photoshop for many hours a day.
Oh, don't say hot Photoshop with
hot Photoshop.
No,
well,
Rule 34
let me
exists
show
for a
you
reason.
my portfolio of Adam and Lee pictures. It's going to be a fold out though, sadly.
Oh, okay, right. Is it a pop-up?
So I've got a pop-up. I put my bloody eye out.
Do you remember that scene where it's just like, here's the church, here's the steeple, look inside, it's Lee's penis. So
it's my fist. let's not beat around the bush here.
Well, no, you can't.
Maybe my dad taught me that the wrong way.
You can't beat around a bush. It's not in your nature. So we also have received, Science Officer Synoiz, we are receiving an incoming transmission from someone called the... Let me just have a look. Computer, what is this incoming transmission?
How did you...
Incoming transmission.
I knew it.
It's someone called the Velvet Snatch.
Oh, hello there. I'm the Velvet Snatch, and I'm a drag queen from the northeast of England, even if I don't really sound like it. I'm also one of the finalists in this year's Mixed Drag Great Britain competition. Now, you might know me from here, saying, "Welcome to Snatch Talk." Or maybe you've heard me say, "Oh, girl," on the Girl Global podcast. How about interviewing all the stars? Wait, who are you again?
Dylan.
Oh.
And maybe out and about performing.
Either way, as my ex will tell you, I've been around. Drag for me is all about getting to meet new people and hearing what they have to say.
Who are you? What are you doing in my house?
I'm creating content. It's about using my platform to help others and offer advice to those around me. Pay off a monthly bill using a credit card to slowly increase your credit rating. Joking aside, I've been doing drag for a few years now, and I've met so many wonderful people. So, I'm in this competition because what's the point of having a platform if you can't use it to help others and raise money for wonderful local charities like the Charlie and Carter Foundation and Pride Action North? So, join me, the Velvet Snatch, at Gay Day, the grand finale, at Annick Gardens on the 26th of August. And if you want to donate to my causes, you can go to thevelvetsnatch.com/donate. See you at the final.
They look strangely familiar.
No, I can't see any connection whatsoever.
Are you sure? Because they did look like someone we know.
No. It's all lies. It's all lies.
Guys, someone in the chat or in the comments, who did that look like? Because they look very familiar, but I can't place my thumb on it.
I'm thinking it's David. I think it was David.
The
David
D-Man.
doing.
Do you think that was the D-Man?
It was the D-Man doing a really terrible job of being a background actor by being constantly in the foreground for the whole thing.
He has been quiet lately. I wonder if the D-Man has yeah, maybe.
No, thank you so much for showing that. I was so genuinely worried that none of the jokes on that would land. I was, because I get in my head and I basically just go, this is really funny to me, but I don't think other people will find it funny. So the idea of actually the amount of people who responded and said they really enjoyed it is really good. So yeah, hopefully it's a good foreshadowing for the rest of the competition. We've got a couple of months left and I've got to do fundraising. So watch this space. If you go to thevelvetsnatch.com/donate, I'm going to be putting all of the stuff on there as I have it, like events that are coming up, all of the merchandise that you're going to be able to buy. We have 2 bits already and we're going to get another one soon once we've perfected it. And you'll be able to like buy that and then all the money goes to charity, which is amazing. So yeah.
So everyone, you know what to do. Thevelvetsnatch.com/ or / in that person's.
I was like, oh, I'm going to be really clever. Oh, wait, no, oh, well, it's done now. Yeah, it's just like, I'm literally, I can't even say, oh, I'm working on Windows because all browsers work the same. It's not like Linux and Windows being like, I'm going to do slashes differently. But anyway.
I'm creating content.
I was saying before we started that it was going to be I tried loads of different lines because the amount of takes we had to do there because Kirsty just kept laughing. Because obviously behind the scenes there talking to me and helping me with that was General Kirky, aka Kirsty from Gigging Up North or Gigs Up North, is it? Yeah.
Gigs Up North.
Gigs Up. Yeah, and the amount of takes that were ruined by her laughing at either A, forgetting her line, or B, just the amount of orange juice I was pouring into this bowl while staring straight at the camera. But one of them was going to be like, shut up, Susan, you're not my real mother. Which I quite like, I think.
I think the next video we're going to have to do all the references from Trekkin Up North. Not now, Madeline!
Not now, oh God.
And it's just the McCann family. But moving on.
No, the urge to make a Twitch redeem using that, and I was like, but I'm gonna have to put Madeline McCann, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. But at the same time, join me on Twitch later tonight.
Yeah, twitch.tv / or / in terms of
Synoiz.
Synoiz. D-Man says, never ask questions you don't want to know. D-Man. D-Man.
We've totally missed this. We've got Nerdy Up North asking who would win in a thumb war between Goodwill and Graham. Where are we putting the thumbs? That dictates the whole thing there.
It would be like the Sooty and Sweep show.
With this here, I quite like this. How with Sooty and Sweep, like even as a child, I was like, okay, so Sooty's a bit shocked, as in he doesn't talk.
He's a
Sweep is just gone like a bit nuts with it. Sue's just fine. Sue's just like, oh, I've got a ginger man's hand in me. Fair cop, must be Tuesday. Which, you know, I can appreciate that reaction, I think.
So we're here to review the Star Trek Voyager episode, Blood Fever.
Blood fever, blood fever.
Lino has to do it.
Ooh.
Or as I have
Forex a horny Vulcan.
As I've affectionately coined it in the Shuttlepod show Discord, one man's quest to nut. So we
you know, I think I quite like the idea of like Star Trek, how we talk about sort of all of these like lofty sort of plots and topics and stuff that it raises. And I quite like it that sometimes you just get Trek where it just goes, no, that's the plot. You know, it's just like, okay, right, fair enough.
It's like in comes Voyager on fire backwards through a hedge that has the captain shag Tom Paris and create salamander babies, and then yet again says to the same Tom Paris, y'all gonna have to do the nasty, otherwise she gonna die. And it's just like, okay.
He's just like, oh well.
And then we just murder people because Janeway.
I do quite like though that there are a lot of good topics raised in this episode, but essentially the blurb that appears on the episode is one Vulcan's quest to nut, which is You know, it's just like, I mean, I'm not suggesting a crossover, but that definitely needs to be the sort of Star Wars like opening trail. You know, literally just like 2 paragraphs talking about the condition of the Senate and like where Voyager is in the universe in the Delta Quadrant, and then it just goes like, yeah.
He hasn't nutted.
It's been 6 years, 6 years and 364 days.
Somehow,
Vorak has nutted.
Somehow the Emperor hasn't nutted.
Somehow the Vulcan hasn't nutted. There we go.
Could you imagine us doing a poll?
But I think he'd be close to doing a poll. That's how bloody desperate he is. But
how would a Vorik nutted hologram Planetaris, the Doctor?
The problem was, obviously, this week was very busy for me, getting the video sorted, getting all these products and stuff sort of sorted for the big weekend I've got. But it's the idea of, I was like, oh no, we need to get back to doing polls. I need to bother Daddy Lee and like get him to put a poll up and stuff. And then promptly just didn't organize any of it. But yeah, the poll, it's kind of good because the poll would have been that. It would have been, how would you have preferred Vorak to nut?
Yeah, how would one nut? So yeah,
how can nut?
How can nut? How can milk? The this is going to be a fun episode. So
it's a spicy one.
The general synopsis of this episode is that I'll try and bring it up because for some reason my browser has.
I love that you're going to bring up the Wikipedia or the memory alpha page,
alpha,
and it just says Vorak can't nut, and that's the entire page.
I mean, I can log into memory alpha if you want. Shall I do a Janeway? Captain's log, stardate 50537.2. Vorak is yet to nut. My urge to murder is rising. The general synopsis is Planetaris experiences symptoms similar to the Pon farr after being attacked by Ensign Vorak, who is also undergoing the blood fever.
Blood fever.
I mean, it just
Vorak's
sounds
a
like
horny Vulcan. Sorry, I'm determined to make that a thing.
It sounds like he got something from a bar in Sunderland, doesn't it? So Voyager is surveying a
Never
planet.
share needles in Sunderland. That's my advice, kids. For all the kids who are watching this. Move to Gosforth. It's got a fucking Tory MP now. I'm furious. And we're gonna get to the episode. We are genuinely going to actually talk Star Trek at some point.
We've just
had the local elections, local elections here in the UK, and obviously it's been a massive Tory failure because they're scum. Quote me on that. But it's the idea of so basically it's like it hasn't been a Labour landslide, but basically because people are a bit sick of the Labour Party in a lot of cases, but with the Tories failing and shooting themselves in the foot so dramatically, they have lost a lot of seats. So all of the other parties have kind of jumped on it, except in one place, which is the place where I grew up. My favourite place in the entire world, Gosforth in Newcastle upon Tyne, now has a Tory MP. Well, not MP, Tory, whatever they are, constituent leader, whatever. But Councillor, there we go. And I'm furious about it because, hilariously, where I live in Sunderland is the only place in all of Sunderland that is actually got a Tory councillor. And then the place that I grew up is a Tory councillor. I feel like I was meant to be Tory. I feel like there's something about my birth that means I was supposed to be Tory, but like Goku in Dragon Ball, this is getting a bit off topic dramatically. This is the tangent to end all tangents. Like Goku, I think I was dropped on my head as a child, and it's changed my very nature away from what fate had decided for me.
No, what happened was
Don't cut off my tail.
You read a book, and that modicum of education enlightened you, unlike most gammons in this country. Speaking of
I just read the book and I was like, maybe I should not be a cunt. Huh.
Speaking of the Tory for Gosforth, They interviewed him this morning and they were like, what did you do to win this seat in Gosforth? And he was like, I did 1.5 million. No, he did. I did 1.5 million steps a year. And we were like, okay, but what did you do?
Oh, so you left. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into this episode of Star Trek Voyager Blood Fever. Let's get into the Pon farr. And most importantly, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of Ensign Vorik, who, for people who have watched the Next Generation episode Lower Decks, is actually Ensign Torek in that episode.
It's quite weird that we've got him this close to when we reviewed that. We
very
reviewed
weird.
that about 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks?
Yeah. But what gets me is there was a great opportunity for this character to have a modicum of continuity where Voyager started as the as Star Trek Generations ended. So the Enterprise D was destroyed, blah, 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 blah. They could have continued with Torek as like a Lieutenant JG, and he's gone to Voyager, and he's just like, I was on the lower decks, and the Enterprise crashed, and now I'm in the Delta Quadrant. And it would have been a great little link to the Next Generation to have someone from, the smallest of roles from the Enterprise on Voyager. So it kind of annoyed me when I saw him in Voyager, and I was like, oh, that's Torek, and it's like, Vorik? And it's like, they were so lazy, they just literally changed the first letter.
Well, this is what sort of blew my mind a little bit, because obviously we spoke about the same kind of thing with the Tom Paris episode of the actual show Lower Decks, about the idea of going, why didn't they just bring back the character he was in, like, was it Delta Squad? Delta Squad?
But there was a Red Squad, but there was a reason.
Yeah, Red Squad. But and obviously it was basically a writer issue where basically they'd have to pay the writer of that episode in order to like use him again. And you wonder if it's the same thing, or basically the person who wrote Lower Decks was just like, hey, I invented Torek, you can't actually use him again. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll just call him Vorik instead, right? Loophole.
Yeah.
And it's just annoying that like if that kind of shitty legality had kind of spoiled what would otherwise be a really good progression of characters.
Some might say, though, it's Paramount bullshit. Hopefully, we might not see for very long, because Sony and Apollo are buying Paramount.
Are they?
$26 billion cash.
That's a lot of suitcases.
That is a lot of suitcases in car parks in trench coats to buy Paramount.
I kind of love the idea of just that much. If it was in physical cash, and I just like, well, I'm gonna have to count it then.
The thing is, it's not all confirmed yet, but it's all but a done deal behind the scenes, and this is a great thing for not just Star Trek, but for content on Paramount altogether, because for those that don't know, or those that maybe know, Paramount Plus is shit.
Paramount Plus is basically a vehicle to watch the Star Wars movies for, the Star Trek movies for me.
Oh!
And the Star Wars movies.
Oh! Oh!
It's because I'm reading the chat and they're all talking about Star Wars. Don't worry, I've only watched the 3 good Star Wars movies.
There's 3. So it is a Paramount Plus
Attack of the Clones.
Paramount Plus is good lad. Paramount Plus is a very broken platform. And strangely enough, I only get Paramount Plus to work when I'm on a plane. For some reason. It seems to work perfectly on a BA flight. I don't know why.
That's a really specific requirement.
How can I get this app to work? You must be 35,000 feet in the air in the mid-Atlantic. I just wanted to watch these old scientists.
Could you just keep the plane going in circles?
Yeah, could you just circle it?
I've nearly finished the episode.
Till I finish season 2. But basically, because Sony's got a large stake in Netflix, so a lot of people are thinking that what they might do is scutter Paramount Plus and just transfer everything over to Netflix, which would be a winner for both. I would say customers could
It'd be a
save
winner
money.
for me. I'd save £7 a month.
Yeah, exactly. But customers could save money. They've got a decent platform, and everything is all together again instead of being scattered all over the place like it is at the moment. But only time will tell. However, because again, that was our 17th tangent in 26 minutes and 27 seconds. Let's get to
sorry
this
for anyone
episode.
who's actually here to hear about this episode. We haven't even started yet, but it's been a busy week and there's a lot going on in the world, and fuck the Tories.
Tiffany has commented, well, guess you've got to visit LA again or Vancouver. Tiffany, I would happily go back to LA, only if you promise me not to climb a mountain in flip-flops again, because, hun, you're a psychopath. But yeah, this is... we as much as we joke about this episode, I quite enjoyed it.
But this is the thing. Like, this is actually a really, really good episode. Like,
Yeah.
we mocked it last week where we're like, wait a minute, this is the, oh no, it's that one. You know, and then, but when I was watching it, I was like, this is actually really good, because
Yeah.
it's one of those episodes that, like, without being too heavy-handed, sets up a lot of stuff happening later on in the show. And also, well, also it kind of deals with a lot of sort of, you know, like issues, because basically
Issues of
you know,
isolation more than anything.
well, this is the whole thing, because it's like, I think that the wonderful thing about Star Trek is that the Vulcans are never truly explored, no matter how many bizarre episodes there are of the original series, where it just goes, oh, here's another thing that Vulcans have, and the amount they probably have to retcon, where they just go, yes, Spock has laser vision and he can turn into a frog at will, and you're like, no, that yeah, it was that thing where he just kind of, and they just like, here's another family member for Spock, and you're like, what? His family tree looks like a spirograph pattern at this point. I mean, what was his dad doing?
Was his dad's zipper ever up?
No wonder he can't sit through a whole fucking concert. That was a Next Gen reference. The
That's why Picard cried after he mind melded. He was like, so many children.
so many wasted babies.
He's like Genghis Khan with pointy ears. What the fuck? Anyway.
Just him sitting there, be like, oh, I've got to go. Anyway.
One man's quest to stop nutting. Go on. Oh,
I think we've gone too far this week. I'm sorry. I think we've gone too far, because I just want to watch this episode again. Because it's literally just him sitting there watching the orchestra, being like, with like sweat running down his face. He's going, oh my god. It can go two ways. It can either end up with him sort of sorting himself out, or someone giving him a Snickers and being like, you turn into a rat diva when you're hungry.
Oh, don't give him the Snickers. He's already had more nuts.
Oh, no. But yeah. But it's this idea of the Vulcans, despite all of the nonsense that Star Trek keeps putting in about other things that the Vulcans can do, they're still a mystery in a lot of cases. Where it's
Up until this point
episode,
in Star Trek, yeah, they are, yeah.
Well, even like, this is like the latest part. Like, this is like the latest bit of sort of traditional Trek before we got sort of, you know, new Trek coming in, and
dare
like, you know,
say,
the
though,
expanded universe.
But I dare say, though, Voyager was the turning point for Vulcans in terms of exploring Vulcans in greater depth, and then it was further delved into in Enterprise.
Yeah.
But this is Vulcans of the 24th century, where we really get into the nitty-gritty of culture, of biology, of Vulcan family more than anything.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, it's why I would definitely put the case forward that Tuvok is the greatest Vulcan in Trek, which is heresy, I know, but you know, because obviously Spock, but it's just the fact of Tim Russ does such an amazing job throughout all of Voyager at just being the most Vulcan we have ever seen in Trek. Like, you know, obviously T'Pol is amazing in Enterprise, but Enterprise doesn't really get to do the full gamut, sadly. But, you know, we love what we get from it, and we love the development that we see, because T'Pol softens a lot over time. T'Pol is very much the exchange student that goes, maybe this culture isn't that bad.
We
Whereas
all
Tuvok
know, but we all
stays Vulcan for 7 seasons.
but with T'Pol, we all know why she softened, because she encountered the frosted tips
Or in
of
French, that's
Connatrinere.
le frosted tipe.
The frosted tippe of
Le frosted
Connatrinere. You know, he was like, I am Floridian, I am tall, I can fix an engine, and I have frosted tips. And she was just like, damn! And that was
She
it.
was like, oh well, I'm moister than an oyster, let's get it on.
Wetter than an otter's pocket, but with
Wow.
with Tuvok, yeah, he remained stoic, he remained Vulcan, and to see him in Picard as he was in Voyager, where we saw other Voyager characters sort of mellow and become like, hey, a little bit of loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
This was like, he's still the Tuvok. And this is a credit to Tim Russ, as not only as an actor, as a director, and as a fucking Trekkie. To keep that character after 30 years. God.
No, it's absolutely brilliant, because obviously we had Spock, who was half Vulcan and half human, and there was a side of him, and he was constantly at conflict with his human side, whereas Tuvok is just Vulcan. Like, the only times when we see him like stray from that is when he's being more Vulcan than Vulcan, such as the episode where he's struggling with the Pumfar, the episodes where he's struggling with the mind of a serial killer, when we get the wonderful cameo from Brad Dorff. Is it Brad Dorff or
Brad Dorff?
I don't know. I've never known. Wonderful, wonderful character actor, but I have no idea how you pronounce his surname.
I will find it for you. Oh!
Yes,
Brad Dorff.
Dorff. Yeah.
Oh God, what an episode. Sorry.
Yeah,
Again, tangent number 78. What an episode that was.
Wait, that's it. And the fact they bring him back, the fact, it is the best thing. It is probably my favorite tiny arc in Voyager, is the fact that they have an episode about one of the crewmen being a serial killer. And then they kind of go, oh, well, we'll just lock him up in quarters. And then later on in the show, we're just like, okay, so he kind of saves the entire ship. And it's a thing, because he's like an actual psychopath and knows all of these crazy things. And you're just like, this is kind of genius. Like, that ties into like Jadzia channeling her like murderer, like former host and whatnot. It's just brilliant. But anyway, that was the tangent. But it's the fact of this episode allows us to see even more into the Vulcan mindset and Vulcan culture. The fact that Vorik is going through the Pomfar, and the Doctor admits that they still don't know what it is. They still don't fully understand, what it is, because none of the Vulcans will talk about it. Like, it is so, they are so stuck up. They are so sort of closeted about their sort of rituals and stuff like that, or their personal lives.
Even the
that
Doctor
they haven't
says
even
that.
told Starfleet what the Pomfar is properly.
This is the thing, right? And this is what amazes me. So obviously the Vulcans are one of the core founders of the Federation. So by this point, the Federation is 200-ish years old, 220 years old, 230 years old, right? So you're telling me, for medical purposes, that the entire Vulcan species decided to keep classified the Ponfar when, hear me out, this shit can legit kill you.
Yeah.
And you are part of an organization that explores deep space and has vessels that will be gone, even by the original series, for 5 years into deep space. And they are so stuck up, and they are so, as the Doctor says, quote, for such an intellectually enlightened race, Vulcans have a Victorian attitude towards sex. And he's right. They would rather die than talk about the nasty with anyone else. And you have to think, it's so un-Vulcan, but also Vulcan of them, because it goes against their logic.
But this is the whole thing, though. It's the joy of Star Trek is having these races that are so fleshed out, where they basically have good points, but they also have flaws. And the Vulcans that would love to be all high and mighty, they're going over to other races and being like, okay, welcome to the warp travel and stuff like that. Well, welcome to the universe and stuff. They're the ones constantly taking the high ground, and yet they have this nasty little secret, which is the fact of they can turn they have to succumb to their base desires once in a while, or they'll become like insane and die. And it is the perfect irony of like having that kind of fault. Whereas humans who don't make any sort of claim about being sort of morally superior, well, no, that's about they do. Cough, 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 lots of DS9. But the idea of who they don't want to be intellectually superior to everyone. They don't want to be like, oh well, these are what everyone should be doing. But the Vulcans do, and yeah, have these faults. Sorry, I lost track of what I was saying.
No, it's just like I said, it's the ultimate irony with the Vulcans, a race that strives for pure logic, doing the most illogical thing when it comes to a base natural animalistic instinct, but because they think they are so above and evolved from their primal nature, and it's like, no, every race has this urge to reproduce, shall we say, in a more pleasant way, and you are no exception to that. Otherwise your civilization would have died out centuries ago. And with this episode, we explore the Pon farr, but we also explore the this is season 3 of Voyager, so they are 2 years into the Delta Quadrant. They are heading home. They could be heading home.
They are. How many episodes are they away from 7 of 9? Probably about 10 or something, right?
This is episode 16, so they are 10 episodes away from seeing 7 of 9. But they are, by their reckoning, it takes about 70 to 80 years to get back to the Alpha Quadrant, right? So this ship will have to be a multi-generational ship. They have got no other Vulcans other than who's on board. And this is a great... What Voyager does best is when it focuses on those issues that can't be solved because they're in the Delta Quadrant. Yes, they have replicators. Yes, they have ways of mining and everything like that. But then it's like, okay, he's going through the Pon farr. He can't travel to Vulcan. How can we deal with that so he doesn't die or kill someone else on the crew?
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because up until this point, we've had like, we can get over, we can sort, we don't have to use replicators. We've got a kitchen and we don't have to do this. We've got a botanical garden. And this is just like, this dude can't nut because he's 70,000 light years away from the person who he must thing. And it's like, how do you get around that? And you see it in this episode where the Doctor becomes a hollow pimp, and Vorik tries to mate with B'Elanna Torres and stuff like that. And it's like the things that would work don't work, and it's a really the best parts of Voyager throughout. I mean, there were great episodes of Voyager, and I am so glad, like DS9 and like Enterprise, because Voyager in the 90s in America was very hard to watch and very hard to come by because it was on the UPN network. So it was
they started a new channel with it, and you were like, well, no one's gonna see it because no one's watching that new channel, and then it bounced over to every other thing in the world. And then...
they couldn't. There's a running gag in the sitcom Married with Children when they go to watch the Fox network. So the family goes, "Oh, get to your Fox TV positions, everybody!" And everyone's got like an aerial, and they're just like doing like arbitrary poses to try and get. That's what UPN was like in America in the 90s. Like it was so hard. Essentially, if you're the UK, trying to watch Channel 5 when Channel 5 originally came out, and it's just like I can sort of see it, but there's 17 million lines of static because it was in that weird UHF band. So when Netflix got all the Star Treks in 2010 and onwards, it sort of got its second wind, and it is a fantastic series. And the episodes where it shines is the episodes where it struggles with isolationism of the starship, the episodes where they're in the void, where there are no stars, and it has a mental effect on the crew. Episodes where they are running low on fuel, they are running low on energy resources, they are isolated, and it's brilliant because it shows just how desperate they can be. It shows how isolated they can be and how they must think outside of the box to come up with a solution. And what we see here with Vorik, he tries to do the natural thing first. So he's in engineering with B'Elanna Torres, and he tries to declare Kunut Sulik to B'Elanna.
You want what? Does it come with chips, mate?
It comes with mushy peas, but he essentially proclaims his intentions to B'Elanna, like he wishes to mate. He wishes to do the nasty.
I have to say, this is one of my favorite things in the whole episode. Like, this is how I want to chat people up. Like, he literally just comes up and he's like, he's just like, hello, I would like to engage. Now that we're done with the business of the day, I would like to I would like you to be my kudu sulik. And I would like to express my desire to become your mate. And imagine just chatting someone up, like as
that
a chat
screenshot right there is exactly when he was saying it there. Just like, Lieutenant, I wish to mount you. And it's just like...
Well, I quite like it. And she's just like going, wait, what?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine, Goodwill, if someone came up to you and just sort of said, hello, I hope you're having a lovely day. I would just like to tell you, I would just like to inform you of my intentions of rogering you silly. Would you be okay with that? No, imagine I'm not your dad while I'm saying it. So,
thank you for watching, Father. Anyway,
is Mummy Goodwill watching?
I'm so sorry, Mother.
Hello, Mother Goodwill.
Please don't.
I'm looking at her through the webcam. I'm like,
don't.
hello,
Please.
Mother Goodwill. I'm sorry. One day I'm gonna meet her and she's just gonna slap me. She's just gonna be like, "That's
she's not.
from
She's gonna give you the biggest fucking kiss ever." But it is a great thing.
with
Obviously...
tongues, Mother Goodwill, with tongues.
So it's a great scene because we see B'Elanna just politely and then forcefully rejecting after he's just like, and then we see that by him going, he's inflicted B'Elanna with the blood fever.
It's crazy though. The scene is really good because obviously he starts off being sort of, okay, I have thought about this and it is quite a good proposal that if we were to get together, you have suitable skills that will complement mine, and I have logical skills that will help you suppress your Klingon side, and I think we would be a perfect pairing. And she's like, but I don't fancy you, so fuck off. Which is basically my usual.
Yes, but you have a PS5, I have an Xbox One Series X, and together we could have the ultimate gaming collection.
We could play all the games.
But I've already got one TV. Yes.
But I put the SCART cable up my bum, so I'm not playing anything for a while.
SCART cable?
What? I don't know.
I'm sorry. 2001 has called and it wants its bloody optical cabling
it wasn't
back.
Bloody working. Do you know how difficult it is to play Halo based entirely upon guesswork?
But you are PAL and I am NTSC. We are not compatible. Our refresh rates are different.
That is this scene. We need to redub this scene with that. Just B'Elanna being like, but I'm NTSC.
Oh, to anyone under the age of 24, they're just going, what the fuck are they on about? And oh, brother, let me tell you.
I had it the other day where I've never felt so old, because in the chat with the other mixed drag finalists, they were talking about sort of, what's her name? Miley Cyrus, but she's also Hannah Montana. Didn't know that. And someone called Hilary
Spoiler.
Duff. Don't know who Hilary Duff was. And they were just like, "How? That's like the most iconic thing in my whole childhood." And I'm just like, "It's not Susie Sue, though, is it? So fuck off." And just being like, "Oh," and everyone, all of them were totally in unison that I should know who Hilary Duff was. And I was
no, at least we found Carmen San Diego. The
that's it. I'll be like, "So, Carmen San Diego," and they'd be like, "No, we have no idea." And I'm just like, "Look, my birth certificate was written on a cave wall." So
I really think we need to. What I'm going to do, I'm going to download this episode, and I'm going to clip this scene. And what we are going to do, we're going to Mystery Science 3000 this,
this scene.
and we're going to Misty
would
it,
never work.
and it's going to be just Vorik and Torres argue over PAL NTSC refresh rates.
Trust me, it won't be as interesting as it might sound.
But I refresh at 60 megahertz, making me a far more optical way to play it. Yes, but my colour range is more dynamic.
You can tell he worked in fucking television. Oh, Krista Reed knows who Hilary Duff is. Well, yay for you. Fuck.
Just grow some more height. But yeah, so we find out.
I do quite like that the only thing that we can possibly take the piss out of with Chris is his height. Everything else about him is fine. And we're just like, no, this is the one thing. The one
Chris!
thing that we will go on.
Chris, grow up.
While you're down there. Anyway. I was going to just tell him to Photoshop some stuff, but you know.
No, there was a photo. Did you see what Paul did? He did a Photoshop of Lee and Chris as Dumb and Dumber, and I just thought, Synoiz would look at that and go, come and come. So this...
I've seen that movie.
So anyway, B'Elanna, unbeknownst to her at the time, she's been infected by the blood fever, and they beam down to the planet to find this galacite, which can be used to refit the warp coils. However, it's very deep in a cave, and they need to rappel down. So Neelix, having to fulfill a paycheck for this episode, is volunteering. He worked in a mining colony, apparently.
Wait, I do love it that they're literally going, "Oh, well, who should the team be?" And they're like, "Oh, Tom Paris has loads of experience of climbing. That makes sense. Oh, we should get Neelix because he once worked in a mining colony." And I'm like, why do we need to know that? Why is the fact it's a mining...
Why are mining colonies repelling?
Out of the ground, you know.
Yeah.
But it's,
he had to justify a paycheck.
literally, how can we fit Neelix into this fucking episode? Because we have no idea. I get really annoyed because obviously we've discussed in the previous Voyager episodes that we've done that it was literally, should we get rid of Harry Kim? Should we get rid of Neelix? Should we get rid of Kes? And they went for the worst option, which is, let's get rid of the psychic child who we just didn't ever write any plots for and had all of this amazing potential. And let's keep the guy who we have no idea what we're going to do with him ever. And, Harry Kim was fine because, he was a good character. They just didn't really write well for him. But I'm still annoyed that we lost Kes because there was so much potential for her. And then we just have Neelix, and this is the perfect example of them just going, we don't know what to do with Neelix ever,
And he needs a paycheck. Yeah, Ethan Phillips needs a paycheck. What do we do? Let's get him rappelling down a cliff with a half Klingon who is absolutely full of fuck today. She has had not one, but 2 cans of Red Bull, and she is rappelling down. An accident occurs. They both fall, and Neelix, being Neelix, breaks his whatever cheese leg, and B'Elanna just goes full Karen on him because she's injured as well, but she goes full Karen on Neelix.
This is the weird thing. Doesn't she injure herself because she tries to grab him?
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is, like, basically, he's falling. So basically, we see that the hook that he's put into the actual... It's not a hook. The stake that he's put into the actual rock comes loose as he's rappelling down. And so he starts falling, and B'Elanna's fine, but decides to reach out and grab him and then just gets pulled off herself. So she would have been fine if she hadn't have done that, basically, because she doesn't actually help him at all. It doesn't break his fall, but But it implies that she like breaks her arm or really wounds her arm, and then it just doesn't stay hurt for very long.
No, because she just goes off to find a Galasite herself, whilst
Yeah.
Ethan Phillips has justified his week's paycheck. He's sat on the floor.
I'm done for this episode.
Well, after they retrieve him and take him back to sickbay, we never see him again for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like he was redundant.
I just love the idea that Tuvok just being like, just like, okay, we've retrieved Neelix, beam him into space. Every time. And the transporter person's like, no, we can't kill Neelix.
What about let's talk about the Doctor and Vorik and the way the Doctor tries to deal with Vorik's Pon farm. So the Doctor obviously knows that Vorik is going through the Pon farm, and this is where we get the stuck-up Vulcan attitude towards it. And I want to ask you a question. If you were Vorik and your Doctor, bearing in mind there is a Doctor-patient confidentiality as part of the Hippocratic Oath, if your Doctor goes to another Vulcan and goes, look, man, this dude needs to nut or he'll die, how pissed off would you be?
I admittedly would be very pissed off, because what the Doctor does is basically breach Doctor-patient confidentiality, which is specifically it. However, and this is the thing, we could say that there is an exception if the chief security officer came to the Doctor and said, hey, for security purposes, i.e. this guy has gone nuts, I need to know what's going on. That would be fine. But there's no way that Tuvok would have approached the Doctor had he, maybe what happened is maybe Tuvok came to the Doctor and said, hey, okay, what's happening? Is this guy going to be a threat? What's going on? And the Doctor's like, oh, I think it's Ponfar. And then Tuvok just went, okay, I'm leaving the room. Don't need to know anymore. That's fine. You just keep on with it. But we don't see that. So effectively, what we see is it looks like the Doctor's just gone, hey, you're a Vulcan. What is it like not to know?
But that's essentially what it is. And even Tuvok's like, dude, this is like torts in a props. And it's like, he has three options. He presents three options. Meditation, which is what Vorik is trying to do. A fight to the death for a mate. Or...
that's the Middlesbrough way.
Or the Sunderland way. Take a random bird, nut, and say you'll call her in the morning.
There is a fourth option of death, though, which he doesn't seem to want to entertain.
I would have personally taken death. But...
that's the red car way. That's the just... kind of, should I have sex or just die?
Play Candle in the Wind. The
the Diana version.
Yes, not the Marilyn Monroe. No, fuck Marilyn Monroe. No.
Is it Candle in the Way?
Candle in the Way.
Candle in the Wind, or
there's a candle in the way.
Candle in the Way. Swerve. Oh dear, avoid that pillar.
The Queen did it. Anyway, go on.
Fuck the monarchy. I can't say that. I don't have a sign for it. No, don't do this. Don't do this. Okay.
Oh, okay, go on.
So I'm catching up with the chat. Probably something that was mentioned in the beta test for the rest of the Mark 1 EMH. Yeah, no, I think this is the thing. Like, it's a very valid point. The whole point of the Doctor is that his bedside manner is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, as in, he's, the whole thing is he's programmed this way, but at the same time, he's got a very sort of lax kind of, but I need to do my job. How do I do my job? Okay,
it's the McCoy subroutine, isn't it? Where it's just like, I don't care about your feelings. I care about you being alive.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
exactly
good.
It. Barbaric. You want to cut him up with your butcher knives?
Yeah.
Talk last week.
Not now, Madeline. But it's every time. Swallow. There we go.
But I'm still in Portugal. Anyway.
So yeah, you would have it.
Not. Spoilers.
She kind of is, just not visible.
Slightly lower.
Yeah, underneath parents' neglect. There is that confidentiality, but at least they got a few books out of it. There is that confidentiality that's breached, and it's sort of, I disagree with what the Doctor did. I appreciate why he did it because of extenuating circumstances, i.e., 70,000 light years away from the boudoir, shall we say. But I do feel it was wrong involving Tuvok. And surely the Starfleet database on Vulcan physiology must have something about the Ponfar. I'm going back to this. They cannot keep that quiet.
Well, I think the whole thing is that what the Doctor describes in the first scene he has with Vorik is what is in the database of the kind of, hey, he needs to, it's a chemical imbalance, just don't really talk about it, send them off to Vulcan or whatever. And he will have read that and gone, can't do that. What are the other options? Oh, there are none. Okay, well, I need to ask the only other Vulcan who I trust and, it can keep secret. And it's this idea of putting the patient first in terms of health, but putting the patient second in terms of trust. I don't know, in terms of sort of respect, maybe.
Yeah,
but yes,
respect more
it's
than
definitely
anything.
that, and especially when Tuvok doesn't really help that much in the scheme of things. Like Tuvok doesn't really tell him anything he doesn't know, or because the viable stuff is basically a fight to the death. And the Doctor's like, well, I'm not going to be doing that, are we? And the other thing is, oh, you need to have sex. He kind of already said that, so it's kind of...
What do you think, though, of the Doctor's solution for Vorik? As in, holodeck.
I have two feelings about this. One, I think it's very good because the thing is, we don't know enough about Pomfar to know whether this would have worked. Because the fact is, I think because Vorik pretends to have done it, but it's clear that he hasn't. Like it's clear that he hasn't actually attempted it. Because what happens is
there is no Vulcan lady next to him with a cigarette.
Yeah, that's it. But it's this idea of obviously because there's the pride thing there. It's the fact that he won't have done it because he's like, no, I need to do it the traditional way. This is a test of my strength. I need to do it following our basic rituals. The typical Vulcan stick up the arse thing. But it's the idea of, well, that would probably sort his Ponfar out actually. But anyway. But it's the idea of, I don't think, when the Doctor goes, hey, look, here's a beautiful Vulcan woman. You should totally bang her. And then kind of just leaves them to it. And then the next time we see Vorik, he's like, I am totally fine now. I do not have any problems whatsoever. Please let me go. And then it's all an act and he's faking it. So I don't think he has actually done the deed.
The emergency medical think it would have
pimp.
Worked. The emergency
I think it would have worked unless there's some kind of psychic part of the Ponfar where it's about a bonding of minds or whatnot as part of the
this is what we find out because obviously B'Elanna is affected by the Ponfar and Tuvok deduces that part of the mating ritual for Vulcans is obviously they have to initiate a meld, they have to bond telepathically with their mate, and obviously with a hologram they're just a mix of photons and force fields. There ain't nothing there. Essentially, a hologram is the average ITV2 viewer. So there is nothing here at all.
But that suggests that ITV2 viewers exist.
All they do, they are plenty, and unfortunately, they live among us.
I wonder when Love Island's on next. Oh, I hope they do another season.
I hope they all go to an island and we just leave them.
Did they ever sink the island? Because that seems like a missed opportunity in terms of
When I become Prime Minister, I will deport all ITV2 viewers onto an island and I will just leave them with no means of escape and no food. And that'll be the end of it.
Technically, we should get the entire Tory party and send them to fucking Rwanda because, they've booked the hotel now, to be fair. So we might as well send someone there. But let's send people we don't actually need.
Technically, unlike Vorik, the Tories are fucking themselves.
Actually, I'm going to bring politics up. I got actually disgusted last week because I watched an interview with Rishi Sunak. Like, basically, for a drag performance, I was looking for, quotes from Rishi Sunak, and I watched an interview he gave, and it genuinely disgusts me the way that he goes on, because he can happily just cheerfully with a smile, just be in front of the camera, being like, "Well, we're hoping to get more of a police presence on the air." On the streets and whatnot. We're hoping to have stronger sentences for smaller crimes and whatnot. And we're going to build more prisons so we can fit more people in the prisons and send them there for any problem that we think they've done, whatever that is. And also we're thinking we need to send all of the foreigners over to Rwanda, which is going to be great. And also we should kill all the trans people. And he's just sitting there being like, hang on, are you smiling about the idea of making this a police state? Like, and it's genuinely, not even in the world of parody, disgusting. Like, and the fact that I'm just going, this is literally like going, well, I'm just gonna go and burn a couple of orphanages down, and then once I'm done with that, maybe I'm going to skin a child, maybe, and then, maybe, commit some war crimes. That'd be nice. It just seems really flippant and awful.
You can't enjoy parodies like "Have I Got News for You" when in real life, it is far more of a parody than comedy writers can ever come up with. And you just
the thing, it's got so bad where they can just say whatever they're intending, and there's some idiots, sorry Gosforth, what have you done? Who will just be like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, okay, yeah, we should just send them all off to Rwanda. What a great plan that is. What happened the last time we did that? We got Australia. And
it doesn't exist. But more to the point, Rishi Sunak built a swimming pool at his home in Richmond, and that's essentially putting a sun lounger in Antarctica. Back to the episode.
But no, the problem is he half finished the job because he hasn't drowned in it yet. Anyway...
No, he half finished
Michael
it.
Barrymore in his pool.
He built half the swimming pool halfway up the garden, and then the rest of it will just be commuter lines to other major cities.
Sorry, I had to go off on a tangent there, but it was just I was genuinely lost faith in the human race watching.
It's great that we're getting a train track that's taking years to build, ironically named High Speed. Back to the episode, though.
And they're like, it'll just go to Birmingham. And you're like...
Great. There is a way out of Birmingham.
Yeah, it's okay. What are you going to do? Send them to Rwanda? Is that to get them to the airport? Like, that's a lot of money to waste, I think. But
Brummies are like, oh, Christ, I could get some warm sunshine. I'll sign me up there, like.
They're sending the wrong people. If you sort of said to half of Sunderland, hey, free flights to Rwanda.
Is that where the canals? Is that where the canals in Rwanda? So I could take the canal boat. But we're going off topic here.
I don't think we've been on topic. I genuinely don't think.
I love you, Birmingham. I just don't like the city. But the NAC's mint.
No, there are so many people from Birmingham I absolutely love, but like whenever you go there, you just go like this city was made by someone who's never played SimCity, because it's an absolute mess. It's just, you literally just be like, what the it's somewhere between like, I don't know, like post Godzilla Tokyo and an Escher painting. That's basically how I would describe Birmingham.
But then you look at Leeds, and Leeds just saw the 1984 apocalyptic movie Threads and just went, Back to the episode.
Some good ideas.
Thank you. Yeah, that was it. That was a deep cut for a lot of people.
Sorry, anyone who is listening to this expecting Star Trek.
Did you expect me to reference a movie where someone pissed themselves outside of bins? Back to the episusode.
Jokes on you. That's my fetish.
Back to the episode, though. So it's deduced that the hologram using a hologram hasn't worked, but we'll get to that part of the episode. Ballada is
just point out the bloody. I feel so sorry for like the actress who gets to play the holographic Vulcan here, because
she
like,
says nothing.
Yeah, this is probably like I remember that we found the worst IMDb role like ever, where someone is credited with woman who pisses herself, and that is her only IMDb credit ever. But this way, it's effectively like, hey, do you want your singular entry into the Star Trek universe to be Vulcan Love Tart? You know, it's just like, Vulcan bit of totty. Holographic Vulcan totty.
I'm actually looking for it now because even the even the dummy that plays the Borg skeleton has a credit.
Really?
Yeah, dummy as Borg skeleton, and then Borg skeleton has its own wiki page, which is fucking hilarious.
I did not know this. This is genius.
Right, where
This
is
is
it?
exactly
Where
what
is
we
it?
need.
Where is it? Alexander Enberg, who is incredible as Vorik, by the way. Starring Kate Mulgrew in 5 minutes. Jennifer Lean. Yeah, she's in this, is she? Oh my god, I'm still trying to find the Vulcan. Keep talking. It's okay. I'm going to find it.
Sorry, I've unmuted my mic purely to cough. That's how professional I am. But yeah, but it is. It's quite wonderful that she's literally just there and she gets no lines. She just
She's
has to look there,
uncredited.
and effectively her role is holographic prostitute. And this is the bizarre thing, though. Obviously, in DS9, we've got like Quark keeps making allusion to a holo program called Vulcan Love Slave and whatnot. And wouldn't that be really boring? Just saying, from a sexual point of view, wouldn't surely Vulcans must be the most boring people to sleep with, because they would just be like, yeah, there's going to be a psychic element to it, but surely they're just going to be like, oh yes, that is quite pleasurable. Well done. Yes.
Almost. Almost.
I have arrived.
Well done.
I have completed the task which I set myself. Good day.
I have
Yeah.
ponfard.
But you know, it's on farmy, daddy.
Oh.
Well, it's just the idea of like, I can't think of anything more boring than
10 minutes
like,
into Ponfar and chill.
yeah, exactly.
And he breaks out a 3D
No,
chess set.
Ponfar and rage. That's what it needs to be.
Oof, Helldiver's taken on a whole new interpretation. Let's change the focus though to the Tom Paris B'Elanna Torres. Won't they dynamic in this episode, because it is no secret that Tom Paris has feelings for B'Elanna Torres. Tom Paris is a bit of a manslut, shall we say, up until this point. But a mutt. But we see him take the higher ground where most men would have failed.
Well, I think this is the whole thing. Like, this works really well for Tom Paris's character, where Tom Paris basically, yeah, like you say, he takes the high ground. Like, it's the fact of, and I think it's a wonderful message in this episode, because obviously we're joking about this episode being like,
It's
hey, this
about
guy has to nut, this is very that. Yeah, it's respect, and it's the idea of like knowing when someone can't consent.
Yes.
And it's and it's the perfect example of Trek going, hey, we're going to take a very real world topic and we're going to tell it indirectly. We're going to address this, subject, but without being like, we're talking about racism, we're talking about consent. And it's exactly this idea of going, look, she is under the influence of this crazy Vulcan like mind trick under the Ponfar. And she all she wants is this thing. She's inebriated. She can't really control herself. And it's up to the people around her basically to say, hey, no, you are not in a state to actually consent here. And I think it tells it really well. And it's good because obviously, like I've said in the past, Tom Paris is not my favorite character on Voyager. He's my least favorite of the regular cast. No, I don't class Neelix as I don't class Neelix as a member of the cast, but he is my least favorite member of the cast that I accept as characters, and not horrible writing mistakes.
Neelixley.
But it's this idea of it shows Tom Paris in a great light, and it's good that it gives more to his character than he likes Americana. Oh look, we found a car in space, so Tom Paris can talk about something. That was one episode, but I'll never forget.
What's wrong with people who like Americana and cars?
There is no reason for it to be in space. The whole thing is utter madness. That's not how cars drive, Goodwill.
They're doing space. It
Space, I
shows. It shows for. Fine, I'll do
How
it
do I
right.
know more about automobiles than you could?
I've just brought it with me. Is this all right, Captain? I know you just let me out of jail, but I've just strapped me car to the top
Look,
of the ship.
the Adequate's got a roof rack.
Oh, there's
but
space for my skis as well.
but but it shows that this is a maturity angle for the Tom Paris character in this episode, because he's like, I like you. I would absolutely disappoint you in a heartbeat, but you are not yourself. You are not you. And if or when it happens, I want it to be right, and I want it to be with B'Elanna Torres, not who you are right now. And you can see him, like the way that Bob McNeil plays the character through this, like, will they, won't they? And it's like, there are constant, will they give in, will they give in? And then you see them both kiss. And then you go, oh, he's given in to his primal urge, but then he raises, he rises above it, and he's like, nope. And they do it. And you see the Klingon side in B'Elanna Torres. I mean, Roxanne Dawson really had her work cut out in this episode, because she has to play someone so incredibly horny. and like, I will fucking kill you if you don't do the nasty with me. And it's brilliant, but the anger that comes through, it's frustrating anger that you see. And it's brilliant, because it is a role reversal for those two characters, where it would be Tom Paris who would be the irrational one, the emotional one, and then it's B'Elanna Torres who is like, I want you to make love to me. I want you to make love to me. And he's just like, no, this is not right. This would be wrong. You're not going to give consent. And when you are yourself, you will regret it.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. But what I love about this is it's a great maturity angle. It's a great approach to consent. And then they get out of the cave, and Tuvok's like, you're going to have to do it. And it's sort of like, come on. We've had 20 minutes of him being mature, taking the high ground. And then Tuvok's like, I order you.
Yeah, I order you
to do this. Yeah, I order you to do this, or she will die. And I'm just like, oh, do you know what it was the only drawback. It was the only thing I didn't like about it, because it's like, no, because they fought this primal urge. They both fought this primal urge. And what I would have liked to have seen, because as we see with Vorik, he fakes doing the horizontal hanky-panky on the holodeck. Yeah. And the doctor's like, oh, I found a cure for this. I just have to be a pimp. And obviously it hasn't worked. But then when Tuvok orders B'Elanna and Paris to do the hiney bang bang, Vorik is there. Vorik just appears out of nowhere. He's beamed down to the planet, and he challenges Paris to a fight to the death. I would have loved it, though, if it was just they get out of the cave and Tuvok orders Paris to make love to... God, it sounds so weird. But orders Paris to do that. Get down and do the nasty... I wish I had a disco ball. But at that point, Paris absolutely refuses. And then Vorik comes in, jumps on Paris and challenges him to a fight to the death. And then we see B'Elanna, like, I volunteer myself as the contender. I would have loved to have seen that, because it would have been a great way for Tom to retain his high ground and his, like, mature, I don't want to do this because this is not the way. I like B'Elanna, but this is not the way I want it to happen.
Yeah.
And it would have been better, but in case, instead we got, you're out of the cave, you didn't do it, and as a reward, y'all gonna do it now. And I'm just like, oh, it took me out of it, I think, a little bit.
The problem is it's a difficult one, because it is the idea of Tuvok is the one who knows best about this, and effectively he's right. Like, effectively, he's like, hey, this will only end with her having sex or a fight happening. But
Yeah.
since the other guy's cured now, apparently, I guess we can't do that. You know, and
Yeah.
also, but the hilarious thing is obviously, so, you know, they go, okay, cool, well, I guess we're going to do this then. And then they go into a clearing to basically do the deed and get interrupted by Vorik because they kind of accept it and they kind of go like, hey, actually, let's do this. And, you know, you're right. It is frustrating that Tom has to go like, oh, well, I guess I'm being ordered to do it, but I guess it's consensual in a way because my boss has said we can.
What a weird personal log that must have been after. Personal log, Tom Paris. I was ordered to nut.
I prefer Tuvok's one being like, today I ordered 2 people to fuck. I can't even say it. Stardate says
It was only
addendum.
logical.
They didn't. Addendum. They did not fuck. Just... Can you imagine? Can you imagine it in a full-on in the pale moonlight scene with Tuvok with a glass of whiskey or whatever, doing a whole monologue to the camera, basically talking about how he.
I wish.
But at the end, he's like, "Computer, delete that personal log."
I wish, though, when it comes to pilots, Starfleet should have adopted the Navy idiom.
They had a different approach to making people fuck. I know that much. I've listened to the Village People.
Listen, I love the YMCA, I love the Village People, and I love In the Navy. So you will never, I will always dance to that. What I mean is, the Navy has a tradition. The Navy has a tradition which was heavily featured in Battlestar Galactica, where all pilots had call signs, and I would have just loved it if Tom Paris's call sign was just blue ball. This is Lieutenant Paris, call sign blue ball.
Call sign
coming in for approach. Not for the first time, eh, Tom? Shut up, Harry.
Get back to your fucking clarinet.
At least I got promoted before you.
At least something's getting blown.
I know. I love the idea of sassy Ensign Kim. It's the show never went there, but it literally, like, no offense to Garrett Wang, who is absolutely wonderful in Voyager, but if I could make one change, if I could take 2, well, obviously, you know, killing Neelix off is that's a freebie, I assume. As soon as I get into the writers' room, that's a freebie that they're just going to give me. However, I would change Ensign Kim to just literally be the Chinese guy from Community. That comedian, you know, the one who's just like, gay. That is the only change I would make to all of Voyager. Just every episode, he's just sassy and just sort of shooting everyone down.
Like, he's like, by the time it's season 7, he's still an ensign. He realizes he's gonna go nowhere. So, like most people in a dead end job, he just doesn't give a fuck. So he just becomes the sassy ensign.
That is specifically the character, the guy who knows that he's not going anywhere. So he's just like, well, guess I'm just getting the paycheck then.
I would love it. Could you imagine the comedic timing if they're on the Delta Flyer, like Paris and Kim are on the Delta Flyer, and like they're coming back, they're on final approach to Voyager, and he's just like, this is Paris, blue ball coming in for final approach. At least someone's coming. Oh, shut up, Harry. Well, go play your clarinet. Well, at least something gets blown. And then he just does a little clarinet. A little bit of Kenny G as they're coming into the shuttle bay. I would
Paris,
love
please
that.
crash the shuttle craft.
Right. Again, I'm going to make a note of these because we're going to do an MST3K of Vorik and Torres discussing the pros and cons of PAL NTSC. And then we're going to do Paris and Kim clapbacks. These are going to be some fucking amazing shots that we're going to do.
I think if we...
I could Photoshop a clarinet and everything.
Yeah, I love the idea of just like something happens and then you just have like sort of Kim in the background being like...
Playing Careless Whisper.
And Janeway's just like, I order you to teleport me into space.
Oh.
Transport me into the nebula. But no, but it's definitely, this is why it is good that I didn't exist or have any say in Voyager, because that is exactly what I would have done with the show. I would have been like, no, it needs this horrible character.
Are you
Anyway.
listening, Rick Berman? This is what you missed. But anyway,
Rick
yeah,
Berman, he's still alive.
Yes.
Anyway,
but with the fight, so he declares that he must go on.
Tuvok challenges Paris and basically goes, "Hey, I will challenge you for for B'Elanna," and obviously B'Elanna's like, yeah, but even if you win, I'm still not going to sleep with you. I don't care what your stupid Vulcan rules are, like, as in he's like, what the rules are, it's like someone in school being like, no, you've like Hermione Grangering it, being like sort of, no, these are the rules. You've got to abide by the rules. And B'Elanna's like, you're not fucking me because of Vulcan law.
Law is in L-A-W, not L-O-R-E.
Because it is literally.
It's
like,
canon. We have to.
But Vorik is specifically being the private school kid, or is it private or public? I don't know. Being like sort of like, no, these are the rules. You've got to follow the rules and whatnot. And
It's
yeah, she's
private.
not having any of it. And hilariously, like, she just goes, okay, well, I'll fight you then. And Tuvok kind of just goes, yeah, she can name her own challenger, she can name her own defender, and it can be herself. So effectively, he's like, okay, let's have a fight to the death with the woman I want to sleep with, which effectively probably breaks even more laws if we're thinking about it.
But this is the thing, right?
I'm far satisfied, I guess.
But yeah, and this is the other drawback I have with this episode. It's a fight to the death. She knocks him the fuck out.
Yeah. And then then Tuvok does a full-on Giles and just suffocates him in the corner. Do we ever see Vorik again?
That is a very, very good question.
I'm going to say I think Tuvok ices him, being like, you nearly gave the fucking game away, you piece of shit. Just full on like mercy killing.
Mercy. Ensign Vorik.
I just love the idea of Tuvok being this stone cold bastard.
He is in. All right. Okay. Wow. Okay. To get around the issue of Torrik and Vorik.
It sounds like a children's book, Goodwill.
Jerry Taylor, right? Jerry Taylor, who happens to be Alexander Enberg's mother in real life. Jerry Taylor, not Jerry Tyler, Jerry Taylor, once suggested that Torrik and Vorik were twin brothers who entered Starfleet together. Oh. That would have been awesome. However, I really would have liked Torrik to
the
Enterprise D has crashed.
I'm on this. The same.
The Enterprise D was the flagship. I'm done. And I want a quiet life, and then he just gets shot 70,000 light years to a place where he can't nut. Vorik was on the writers' shortlist for a reoccurring character to kill off in Friendship.
Wow.
In Friendship 1, though Brian Fuller and Michael Taylor ended up deciding on Joe Carey. Appearances. He was in 8. He was in 8 episodes of Voyager. Fair Trade, Alter Ego,
Blood Fever,
Day of Honor, Demon, Extreme Risk, Counterpoint, and Renaissance Man.
Oh, so bloody hell!
He was in quite a lot of episodes, which is really good. But I still think it should have been Torrik as a Lieutenant JG. I think it would have been a good nod to have to TNG. But
It's this thing where it would have been really good to have stuff like that, because this is what we like in Trek, isn't it? We
Yeah.
like it where we get like
it's the same world.
continuing characters.
Yeah, it's the same world who would naturally, if the Enterprise D is destroyed, spoiler alert, but if it's destroyed, they have got no other ships, so they would be reassigned. That's why we got Worf on DS9. Do you see what I mean? It's like they would go to somewhere else, and just to see Torek on Voyager, where like even if he's just like one little toss away line to B'Elanna, where he's just like, I was hoping for a quiet posting after the events of the Enterprise D and not to be 70,000 light years. By the way, can I mount you? And do you know what I mean? It would have been a good little thing, because it's all the same world and they all exist, and we wouldn't have made a song and dance about it. But the end of the episode, where obviously the Ponfar is cleansed, and we see this lovely turbo lift scene between Paris and B'Elanna, and they're basically just trying to get over the awkwardness. And B'Elanna's like, I really appreciate that you didn't take advantage of me, which is, I like that, and it's reassuring, but she also appreciates what he would have done hadn't Vorik have interrupted them, because at that point, it was consent.
Yeah.
Which we saw. And I love the fact that we get this sensitive side of Paris in this, where essentially he's like, we all but know now he's got feelings for B'Elanna. And when she just walks out, and she's just like, be careful what you wish for, Lieutenant. And you're just like, oh.
Well, I think we need to talk more about the final scene, because it is so beautiful, where it's basically like this kind of thing of like the most important thing of any relationship. We can talk about like, people trying to ship characters or whatever together, but it's the fact of the most important thing for a relationship is understanding the other person. And we get this wonderful scene in the lift here where Paris shows more depth than we would give him credit for, because he's effectively just a weird Starfleet fuckboy kind of thing. And it's this idea of maybe it's an industry term, but it's the idea of
twink, but go on.
Is he a twink? Yeah, I suppose he is actually. Yeah, he's like an
Julian
aging twink
Bashir.
at this
Julian
point.
Bashir was DS Twink. So
No, he was DS Twink.
well, no,
I
Harry
don't know
Kim
how
is.
there
Harry
are
Kim
rules,
is.
but there are.
Harry Kim is Ensign Twink. Go on.
He's a cub, maybe. Anyway, there are distinctions, but it's in this lift scene where he basically just goes, like, hey, it shouldn't, we could do it again sometime, kind of thing, and she's just like going, no, I don't think so, and then he kind of points out, like, look, you're terrified of people seeing your Klingon side, and you letting that out, and you sort of being sort of passionate with someone and whatnot, but I'm ready for it and I think I can handle it. And she just kind of looks at him being like, sort of, whoa, you actually get that that's what I'm struggling with, the idea of not wanting to be open in case I go too far, kind of thing. And I think that's wonderful that she kind of like looks at him as though she's seeing a new person, like she's seen someone that she hasn't. There's a whole song in Beauty and the Beast about it and stuff, but obviously he's a weird animal and not a Klingon.
Sing it.
There may be something there that wasn't there before.
A hard cock. But the idea, I think I saw the wrong movie, but
As old as time.
Can we do that version of?
Can we do a Geordie version of all these Disney songs?
I just think.
Have you ever heard of the Solid Snake version? Tale as old as time. Have you never heard of the Solid Snake version of Beauty and the Beast? Beauty and the Metal Gear.
It's just get David Hayter in and be like, okay. Yeah. He's like, I can sing, and it's like,
Beauty
you don't
and the
need
Metal
to.
Gear. We should talk.
Snake.
Two X. We should totally do it.
2X.
We should totally do a Geordie Disney cover of everything. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore.
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 Here I am. There I go.
I'm trying to think what the worst song to be a Geordie version
From the
would
day we arrived on this planet,
be. That's,
blinking into the sun.
what's my favorite one? You'd be like,
I know that your powers of retention are as wet as a warthog's backside, like. But think as you are, pay attention, like. Go
Oh,
on.
I just can't wait to be king.
I just can't wait for me, Gyro.
Anyway,
Can we do Toy Story? You got a friend in me. Get out, Tyrone.
that's it. You got a friend in me is half the problem in Sunderland. Anyway. We are not doing a very good episode of Staying on Topic this week. It's almost like we've both been stressed to all hell and had no actual sleep this week.
It's fine. It's fine. Fuck the people that need to be fucked. That's all I'm legally allowed to say.
Is that your advice for this episode? Fuck the people that need to be fucked.
You are a smart and handsome thing, Synoiz.
A Gizian from the planet
Gizian.
Hog. That's the law that we've invented, Goodwill.
Why is everything
We do
that
a
we
whole
don't
thing.
Why is everything that we don't know must be called a thing? Because it's PC. The end of the episode though is very. I love this forbearing, this foreshadowing that we get in this episode, because it's like we know where they originated from, but to finally see it in Voyager and
Well, what we'll do?
that
Well,
it's
hold
coming.
on.
Right there,
Before
screenshot,
we
right
do this,
there, right at the end there.
I know, but before we do it, it's the whole plot of this episode is basically they go to this planet to find gammasite, which is a very rare mineral, and they're like, "Hey, cool, it's on this planet." But bizarrely, there's no life signs on this planet, but it shows that it's got all of these temples and stuff that was built like sort of 60 odd years ago. So we have no idea where this actual civilization has gone. And then when they're actually in the caves after B'Elanna, the rappel incident, B'Elanna gets lost in the caves. They actually come across the race. It turns out that the planet isn't uninhabited. There's actually a race of creatures that live there, but they're actually hiding under the surface and using technology to actually hide their life signs and, mask their presence.
Yes.
But what they haven't done is they haven't managed to mask the presence of the gammasite.
Yes.
And so obviously they kind of go, "Hey, cool, we're going to leave you alone. We'll leave the gammasite. We didn't realize it was yours and whatnot. And we'll tell you how we scanned for it so that you can prevent that so that other races can't see it there."
Yeah.
And then we're like, but what the hell happened? Like, because the aliens, when they're speaking, and I feel so sorry for this race. This is definitely a second contact scenario would be good.
I was going to
Because
ask
this
you
race
about
is
this, yeah.
never ever mentioned ever again. And they made all the makeup. They made this nice bit of lore about them. The actors were really good being these characters for like 3 or 4 scenes. But effectively, we go, how the hell in a couple of hours was the entire planet destroyed and the race was driven underground? What the hell could have done that? And then this is what happens at the end of the episode that you were getting to there.
It's a cataclysmic event that they allude to, where these attackers came and the attack was over in less than an hour, and you're like, wow, like how devastating were these attackers that they could do this, and the few remnants of civilization migrated underground and stuff. And then we see right at the end of the episode, Chakotay calls down Janeway from the ship in a panic, and he says, you need to see this. You
Look,
need
it's
to
dummy.
see. And as opposed to the Vulcan hologram in credit of the episode, it's a Borg drone. It's a skeleton of a Borg drone. And that's how they leave the episode. And you think, you're thinking, how can they attack an entire colony, an entire planet in less than an hour? But then you think back to part 1 of Best of Both Worlds, where, a colony's gone silent, go and investigate, and you just see a fucking crater where they were.
the whole thing with the Borg though is the Borg. I'm willing to say that the Borg are probably the biggest. So, well, no, the QR, but basically the QR, but then the Borg are probably the second biggest. How the hell does that exist in the universe, and how are we still around? Because effectively, when we see how powerful the Borg are, there is no doubt that they could literally wipe out a planet in like an hour, kind of thing. You know, with the technology and the weapons that they have at their disposal and their methods of attacking. And so effectively, just like apparently, it's only that the fact that the Borg are either picky or pissing around that stops them taking over the entire galaxy. You know, because they seem to have everything on their side. So it's very much plot armor for everyone else, preventing the Borg from being the real threat that they are. But this is a good example of going, hey, this is what they are capable of and what they should be capable of more often.
I am going to say so. Obviously, we've already answered the question. Would this episode merit a second contact? Yes, for the I had the name written down. Sicarians. Okay. So yes, I'd say there are two second contacts here. Okay. One, Sicarians. We need to know more about this race. What happened? This can be amalgamated into the second contact, which is, and I'm looking directly at you, Paramount, with your new business daddies, a Borg mini series, a Borg origin mini series. The Borg for 30 years have been played as the greatest threat to the Federation by the Q, the greatest threat to the Federation. We know they originated in the Delta Quadrant. That's it.
Yeah.
We want to know how long they've been around, how quickly they spread, how they expanded, how they went from biological beings to technological. Was it an evolution? Was it technology run amok? You know, I would love to see them parallel current society where technology is advancing faster than social development. Or the advent, or more cyberpunk, the advent of the biological and the technological working in harmony to better the civilization, but then it goes amok.
For me, it's the fact of I am very much a fan of let's not fill in all of the blanks because then it gets boring. As in, like if you know where we get a lot of stuff like there's a lot of stuff where they go, hey, but let's do a prequel, and you're like, we don't need a prequel. We don't need to know how this one event happened or something, you know. And I tend to get annoyed with them. However, if they did it and it was a total secret that it was Star Trek, it would be the best move in the entire world. If they released a TV show about a race in the galaxy kind of thing, like, you know, like a race in a far-flung bit of the galaxy or whatever, and they're basically doing stuff and they're basically improving themselves. There's some kind of cataclysmic event and they're basically trying to improve themselves and it goes amok kind of thing, like you're saying. And then in later episodes of the show, we start going, that's a Herosian. Or, oh, that's a, you know, all of these little things where we just go, hang on, that's a Star Trek reference. And then obviously, and then it's a big fucking twist that you're like, this is the fucking Borg. Like, this is how the Borgs are. That is how you would do that. And it would be the best thing ever.
It is a genius. So I'm with you on this. Okay. It is a genius idea. But there are two things holding it back.
Paramount. And apparently Sony.
One, marketing. So if you don't... This experiment was tried in 2001 with Enterprise. They removed Star Trek from the show. They removed the name Star Trek. They just called it Enterprise because they believed it held more market value as a non-Star Trek labelled show. And that it would bring in audiences that would not generally watch Star Trek because of the stigma of it being Star Trek.
Yeah.
2, marketing. Paramount are not good at it. if it was say right, if you look at the HBO levels of marketing, if you look at not Apple TV, but other streaming platforms and other channels' versions of marketing, if it was done right, they could play. And this is where Netflix could come into play with this, with Sony and everything like that. Because, like I said at the top of the show, the unofficial news is that Sony and Apollo, which is an investment group, have bought Paramount and everything related to Paramount for $26.5 billion cash. And Sony has got a huge stake in Netflix, so we are either going to see the shuttering of Paramount Plus and the migration over to Netflix, or some sort of weird amalgamation where Paramount's got it on a timed exclusive and then it moves to Netflix. Whatever. What we will see is, because the CEO's gone, we will see a new head at Paramount, hopefully someone who can see the viability of a franchise like Star Trek and goes, we can do so much more than what they are doing now. Because all they have to do is not listen to the fans, but look at the fans, look at the property and see what they can do. I would absolutely love it if they did do a Borg anthology, if it was a Paramount mini-series and it was about artificial intelligence run amok, right? But it was essentially like a Battlestar Galactica type thing where it's just like, this is a distant world. This is not Earth. This is a distant world where they have had the same, that they parallel modern civilization where technology has far outpaced social and economic development, and technology is running amok, and this is the hypothetical way that it could go. And then they could do it over 3 or 4 episodes, an hour and a half each, and then they could say by episode 2 we could then see a Talaxian.
Yeah, if they put a little hints in it, like I would probably wait till the 3rd episode and then put like a slight hint in episode 2, but then put something obvious that someone is going to go, hang on, that's a Talaxian, or hang on, that's a Herosian, or, hang on. Well, we don't really see what the phage guys look like. What are they called again, the phage guys?
The Genophage. The Vidians.
The Vidians.
We
don't
see
really
them
get
after
to see them before
we see
their
it after the
heels.
Genophage is reversed.
Do we?
But yes, we do. But that's very later on in
right.
Voyager. But yeah, I like that. But I also like maybe.
But the thing is, with your things that you're saying about it, of going, you'd need to say it was Star Trek because it doesn't work if you try and separate it out or whatever.
At the moment, yeah.
I'd say nowadays, when Enterprise came out, that was very much the case because TV worked very differently back then, and it was like, and also it didn't help that they were like, and it's on a different channel every week. But it's the fact of with nowadays the focus for anything that any network does is make a good show. Don't just be like, oh, it doesn't need to be a good show because it's Star Trek and it's got a label on it. It's, this is the problem with all media at the minute, is the idea we get people who are like, but it's DC, so everyone will automatically go and see it because it's got Batman in it. And you're like, no, they won't. That is not how anything works. People are going to go, is this movie a load of shit? Right, okay, then I'm not going to go and see it. And so if they did like a TV show and they just made a very good sci-fi show, they had a lot of natural people talking about it and stuff, and then it turns out that actually it's a Trek show, that would be amazing. Like,
it would be
that's
it
what
would be a
they
great
probably should have
experiment.
done with Discovery. They probably should have gone like, hey, it's just a new cool sci-fi show and stuff, and then they just gone, and it's part of the Star Trek universe. Hey, and all these people are like, oh well, I've got a lot of catching up to do then.
It would have been. I think it's nowadays, as opposed to 20 years ago, I think it would be a very, very interesting experiment to, like I said, marketing and everything like that. That's 6 and 2 3. What I'm saying is, it would be an interesting experiment to develop a show where, in no way, shape, or form, is there a mention of Star Trek throughout pre-production, development, writing, everything like that. Only a handful of people know what this show really is. Okay? And then, like, if they do a 4-episode miniseries, and by episode 3, when they are making episode 3, makeup comes on, and then you see a talaxine, you see a Herosian.
Yeah.
Or we see a regeneration chamber. We hear sound effects which are indicative of the Borg.
We have it where a guy's basically like, okay, now that we've managed to fix the problem with all these these mechanical implants and stuff. Oh, well, how do we recharge them? Because, the battery packs that people are wearing aren't working. Well, what I've done is I've invented a new kind of bed, but you stand up in it, and then it's like an alcove, and it'd be that, and you just go like, hang on, like.
What I would love at the end of this miniseries, though, the very last line of this miniseries that has not been said at any point.
Yeah.
We are the Borg.
We are Borg, I think it'd be.
We are Borg. Bang. Gone.
But that's what it should be, because it should basically be this.
Are you
idea
listening,
this...
Paramount?
It should be a problem that's occurring, like in society, and it should parallel the themes that we have in the UK at the minute, with like the idea of going, oh well, how do we fix all these problems? We just become more totalitarian. We just kind of become a police state. We just kind of lock things down, and then them being like, oh well, now that everyone in the it goes into the Deus Ex like kind of universe where it just goes like, now that everyone has implants and stuff like that, I guess we can control the implants and stuff like that. And then no one will commit crimes because we can do all of this. And, we've managed to network all these people's minds and stuff. And then it ends up being like, hey, we've brought about a better society because we've basically, stopped people being able to do things.
It could
and then
be,
it ends
though.
up being like an AI takes over, or they basically have to put someone in charge. That person becomes the first queen.
But then it could
and
be...
Then it goes...
It could be a totalitarian society that is then completely controlled, and they have solved domestic issues. They have solved hunger. They have solved war. They are united as one. And then the cultural shift happens where it's like, we have got rid of these exterior issues, war, political issues. Now we must turn our focus on biological issues in our race. We must focus, with the advent of this amazing technology, we must focus on enhancing our bodies, perfecting ourselves. And then over the series we see that cultural mantra of seeking perfection and unity with biological and technological becoming the very driving force of this culture and and then soon all conquering race that seeks to add more to enhance the perfection.
And you know what I would do? I would basically, to hedge my bets, I would put a character in it who's like an alien observer that exists, who's an Elorian. And then it means that if you got a season 2...
In the Delta Quadrant, though.
Well, this is the whole thing. You would put something like that in. You would basically put a through-line character, and then you would make it so that basically when the show finishes, if you did want to make a sequel or another sort of mini-series like afterwards, you could have it as now the Borg and all the characters that we've met are now villains. So all of the, like the main characters like the Borg Queen and the other ones are like drones and stuff like that. And they all kind of exist slightly in their own way or whatever.
Yeah.
But then this alien character becomes the protagonist for the second series, trying to go around warning people, oh shit, this is what's happened, kind of thing. And then it kind of spreads around the universe and stuff. I would try and do that. Yes, it is in the Delta Quadrant, and yes, it doesn't make any kind of sense, but I would definitely have it as you would have a through-line character that tries to warn the galaxy.
I've just thought of something.
We've
No,
totally
no,
gone off
no, no,
topic.
no, no,
This
no,
is
no,
the
no, no.
biggest tangent we've ever done, guys.
I don't care, but I've just thought of something. If we did have a season 2, right? Say mini-series and then a season 2, right? Which is a season 2 mini-series. Two mini-series, right? Again, what did we learn from Enterprise from the episodes, for the Borg episodes of the Enterprise? A signal was sent that would take 200 years to reach a position in the Delta Quadrant. What if, obviously season 1, we are Borg. What if the final thing is they receive that signal and we see the cube set course, blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and they just, and then you look at it and it's a picture of Earth, and they go,
Yeah.
oh,
That's it, I think season 1 should end with them still having personality and still having a level of autonomy, but basically ruled over by a hive mind for the most part. And so therefore they've still got personalities and stuff. But I think it's by the end of season 2, you'd be like, no, now they have given up all personality. Now they are, because they could be idealists to start with, where they're basically going, hey, we've solved all these problems. We want to help you out in other races and stuff. And then by season 2, they're like, by the end of that, they're like, no one is accepting our help. So we will force it upon them because we know what's best for them. And it becomes this kind of, and then that's what I would do. Anyway, let's get back to the episode.
I would
This is
also
definitely
like,
something we should talk about more, though.
just a quick final thing. I would also like them to make the Borg terrifying again, as they were in the Next Generation and going into Voyager and everything like that. I would like to make them terrifying, because the one thing that Star Trek did towards the end of Voyager, and then obviously with Picard, they were fragile. They weren't as terrifying as they originally were when they first came out. I would like to see it streaming, and they're allowed, the mass assimilation of men, women, children, the screams, the violence in the resistance, the horrors of this race inflicting, their way of life on a civilization.
There would definitely need to be a whole Civil War arc and whatnot, like where it's this idea of the people who don't actually accept that this is the way to go and stuff, and then basically it, it kind of becomes a bit like the Matrix, I guess, but obviously
and then even better, the faction that splits off from the Borg could then be the race that created Voyager.
Yeah, something like that, like. Because even though he said, Roddenberry said, hey, they're not connected at all, kind of thing, it's still the idea going, well, you're dead now, so let's make that connection. As in, that makes a lot of, it just fits,
I'm making notes because
I think it'd be
I have
fun
been
to discuss
fueled
this,
by ideas, and I have.
Because you could proper make. I always remember, obviously, while I've said I'm not a massive fan of Doctor Who, but one of the episodes of Doctor Who that really stuck with me is when I think it's Tom Baker's Doctor, but it's basically it's the dawn of the Daleks, and it basically goes back in when Davros was just a bloke, and it's basically got when Davros was just a bloke, and he's going, hey, I've got this great idea of how we can up our evolution, and it'd be like a similar plot to this, and obviously, but with a budget of more than £12. But it's I think that this would be a great show, and if you just totally did it and you didn't say it was Star Trek, and we just ended up with this crazy, horrendous, like show about
I love this. I actually fucking love this.
Because I think it'd be good, because then what we could do is reference it in like New Trek and stuff. So in New Trek, you'd just be like, hey, this character that was mentioned ages ago, they actually just find that drone. Like they literally sort of get on a Borg cube or whatever, and they actually just find the drone that was one of these major characters from this show.
The Queen.
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's so much you can do with it. Anyway, we need to round this episode up. So
we need to round. This was a great episode. Lots of establishing of future storylines. Obviously, the Borg, B'Elanna, and
we got
Tom.
to see the burgeoning relationship between Tom Paris and B'Elanna Torres. We got to see a bit more of Vorik, who is, I think, a wonderful little side character. We got to see the Doctor being amazing.
Yes.
All I'm going to say is, all of my notes, I haven't really referred to my notes in this episode at all, because most of them are just quotes from the Doctor. Because
Yeah.
the writing in Voyager, in this episode specifically, is phenomenal. Like, all of the zingers you get, like all of the wonderful, like, obviously Tim Russ, you could give him the back of a fucking cornflake packet and you would make it sound like Shakespeare. But like, yeah, he's just like, what's wrong? How's the patient? Well, in addition to a dislocated jaw, and he's just like referring to B'Elanna, like punching him and stuff. And then, well, what is he? Where's this now? Okay, yeah, he's just like, with Lieutenant Torres, upset is a relative term.
Yeah, he's so passive aggressive, and the bedside manner is just—it's not there.
He's just phenomenal. He's so good.
I think this is a really solid episode. Voyager is getting the love it deserves. I just want to go through some of the live chat comments here. Damon J, who has changed from Mr. D. Bring me back as a reoccurring role in Strange New Worlds. Yes.
Yes.
It is devastating.
But you can only ever be in the background. We need to make it, okay, where you have a recurring role, but where there's always a bit of scenery in front of you or something. Or like, you're going to be like Wilson from Home Improvement. Was it Wilson?
Yeah, it just has a fence.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, Damon, but it would be every.
David
You can be a main character. You can totally be one of the main cast, but for some reason, there's always a door opening in front of you or some.
David says, I'm not sure how long is left on their exclusivity talks with Skydance. Can't be much longer now. No, it's Sony and Apollo. They have, I think it's not official. And I have sources. I feel like such a douche saying that, but it's Sony.
I have
and
sources.
Apollo.
It's mayonnaise and mustard.
You disgust me. David also says, if you keep the track out of the title, what is the name? What is it named? Assimilation? No, I would literally just
It would be too obvious calling it assimilation.
I would just call it, right? This is going back to the 70s sci-fi show. I would just call it We. W-E. I would just call it We. Just We.
I love the idea of it being called We, but at the same time,
you're immature.
I am.
You are. But I would love
Nintendo
something
had a
like
whole
that.
console and I still haven't finished taking the piss out of it.
The French say it as yes, but no one cares about the shit Canadians. The just something without like we get shows like V and The Expanse and everything like that. We just need.
I think you'd call it Unity or something. You would call it
Unity.
You'd call it something like that. Where
collective.
assimilation would be amazing, but people would immediately make the connection.
Yeah.
We people are childish, and it would be that. You'd call it I, but then that's probably taken. It's really tough. But yeah. Anyway, we can workshop that.
Anyway, so solid episode all round. Wow, this was a great review. I had so many laughs with this episode. And at the end of the day,
we kind of dodged the episode a little bit because we're just talking nonsense.
But at the end of the day, right, what we need to sum up, right? Does having to nut save your life? And the answer is no, because no one nuts in this episode.
Nobody nuts in this episode.
Nobody nuts.
Having a fight in the background. Having a big old Barney and beating up a guy.
Guys, moral of this episode: your horniness can be solved by beating the living shit out of someone. Okay, that's what you need to do.
I have to say, actually, some of my straight mates from Sunderland would actually testify that is true. Like their teenage years, they were so pent up and frustrated. That's why they kept getting into fights on nights out and stuff all the time. And it is actually a true thing. That's men, basically.
Right.
One thing I want to mention, though, about the episode is the scene between Tuvok and Vorik, where, basically Tuvok goes to Vorik's quarters, he's meditating, And Vorik's just like, oh, so I guess you know then. That's great. Effectively, and Tuvok's like, yes, I'm very embarrassed about this whole thing. We just need to discuss
It's
it.
very
and whatnot."
British.
But but it's a beautiful scene because you see the excellency of the acting. Like the whole thing, what Tim Russ does with being a Vulcan is there's no emotion at all, but it's all there beneath the surface in little gestures and little things. It's not like someone being deadpan. It's not someone being like, oh, I hope you are having a great time. Yes, this is lovely. Good day. It doesn't sound like Garth Marenghi. It's like that kind of, terrible deliberate acting.
Yeah.
But in this scene we get all of the emotions, and you're like, but he's not showing emotions. Like for instance, you've got Vorik being very, very at the end of his rope, kind of thing. Like he's sweating. He's like, look, I need to do something about this. Yes, I'll go and find B'Elanna. That's the only solution and stuff. And Tuvok being dead straight, being like, nope, you can't do that. But then at the end, when Tuvok is like, okay, cool, you stay here, we will find a solution, kind of thing, he kind of pelts it out the room. He kind of turns away and just goes, now let's get away from this incredibly uncomfortable situation that I despise being in. And it's this little giveaway of just how uncomfortable he is below the persona. And I love that so much.
The mannerisms themselves, just his body language alone, makes him look uncomfortable. The way he stood at the door of Vorik's quarters, and you just see the silhouette of Tuvok, and even that silhouette alone shows you how uncomfortable he actually is. He's very stiff, and he doesn't know what to do. And just that body language alone, it proves how Tim Russ is a good actor and how he can emote so many emotions in a being that does not have emotions in a way that shows that he is uncomfortable, and it's incredible.
It isn't, and it's also like we talk about sort of Vorik and Turek and like how they should have been the same character. I kind of feel the same way about Tuvok. I think Tim Russ's appearance in Next Generation should have been as Tuvok.
Tuvok undercover.
I still love the idea that he was undercover. He was like, done as a human. It's a very different character that he plays, but it's the whole thing of that's what Tuvok did. He would have had to fake emotions if he was in that kind of underground role. And that is another missed opportunity where just going, that could have been the same thing, and there could have been a whole thing there, but
it could have been, but we also could have had Star Trek Excelsior with Tuvok. Which would have been a good little link. But any more notes on this episode before I answer this transmission?
It has one of my favorite quotes that I'm going to be using in all future dating endeavors, which is from Tom Paris. This is about sex, and it's not going to happen right now. That is, I need that on a t-shirt. I need that on a t-shirt just for when people approach me.
I'm just going to say, you have such a Victorian attitude towards sex.
Well, as in I do it with my clothes on.
Oh. 17 layers of knickers.
Victorian beds are like their graves. They've got a little bell on in case something wakes up. Anyway.
I'm getting an incoming transmission, Science Officer Synoiz.
Incoming transmission.
How convenient, right?
Oh, looky to what it is.
I'm just looking at my YouTube hasn't caught up. I'm not quite sure where in the episode it is, but you're literally there doing Paul Daniels hands, and it's just a bit weird. And I'm sitting here like a bald Debbie McGee. Anyway.
Poor Paul. Welcome to the double wheel of episodes. For those of you new to Trekking Up North, thank you for tuning in at episode 57. The double wheel.
2 hours of absolute bollocks. Starting with me in drag.
That's the review right there. 2 hours of absolute bollocks, enemy.
Can we change our tagline on Spotify? Just so
Trekkin up
people are-
north, 2 hours of
who won?
bollocks. Yeah, I'm like 2 hours of blue balls.
There we
The
go.
double wheel of episodes contains within it every episode of Star Trek in existence. And the rule is, we spin the double wheel. We spin it, we gain an intense amount of anxiety. And when that wheel stops, we yell, you
Code of
yell,
honor.
shut your face. We yell, you yell,
Double!
the chat, shut up, I'm explaining.
Double!
I'm explaining, shut up. We yell, you yell, the chat types, comments type, you scream out of your window, you phone me, you text me, you tweet me, you Facebook me, you MySpace me.
Pigeon.
No. You
Okay.
say the word double! 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 Double!
Yeah, that's what you
You
do.
yell it, and then whatever
Maybe
the
less
wheel lands
staccato.
on, whatever the wheel lands on, me and Science Officer Synoiz, and potentially a guest,
Ooh.
must review.
I love though that we'd kind of made this sort of agreement a while ago, and then we forgot about it because we haven't had a Voyager episode in so long, that we were going to ask the wonderful Baron LeVay if they'd be a guest the next time we get a Voyager episode. And then we rolled this one. I was thinking about it, and I was like, can't really ask someone as amazing as like the Baron LeVay. Be like, hey, do you want to be on the one where it's about a Vulcan who can't not? You know, so it's like going, okay, so that they're still in the wings to be a guest again, but at the same time, we're like, let's wait for a different.
Dear
Voyager
Tim
one.
Russ, we are huge fans of the Tuvok character. We are about to review Blood Fever. You know, the one where he can't nut. Would you like to come on and review the episode? Dear Jimmy, no shit, hang on, wrong end.
Dear,
Would
could
you
you fix it for us? No.
Would you
Yeah,
like to
let's-
come and review and potentially come round for tea? I am making waffles and turkey dinosaurs.
My mum has Alpha Bites. And
Regards.
she's got a pizza from Tesco.
Regard Tesco, such luxury. Regards, Michael Goodwill, aged 36 and a half.
Me mum has turkey dinosaurs.
I've got potato smiley faces.
They were a treat. They were a treat when I was a child. Goodwill.
Treat, such
A
luxury.
luxury.
A luxury. Eh?
Well, my mum worked on the principle of let's not buy the things we need, let's buy what's on sale. So who knew? So it was like a tombola what we'd actually get every week.
The insults,
food-wise.
the insults in the schoolyard were, your mum shops at Netto, and to which I would turn around and go, at least I've got a mum.
Yeah, that's. Wait, it's like what is it? Someone came up to me like this was about 10 years ago, and someone came up to me and they said the wonderful line, "Do you know who Madar is?" And I'm like, "Do you?" Is the question.
You should turn around and
You
just
know,
go,
but
son!
wasted humor. Humor is
Yeah.
never get cocky with chavs because they don't understand any kind of clever humor.
So,
It's a waste of breath.
For the chat, what are you hoping is going to be next week's episode? You could shut your face. I already know what you're going to say. I want one of two series. Okay? I want either the animated series, which you've probably not programmed in.
No. So next one.
So
Let's,
Deep Space.
Stay optimistic. Good.
You had one job.
It's still not in there. It's really still not in there. I'm sorry.
I want a DS9 episode. I want a latter series DS9 episode. I want to get in to the nitty gritty of the Dominion War. I have got a thirst for it.
I was saying, like, I said this a couple of weeks ago when I accidentally, because it was where I was up to on the show, watched I've forgotten the name of it, but it was like the fifth from end of DS9, and it is just the most amazing episode.
Oh, in the Pale Moonlight.
No, not in the Pale Moonlight.
Oh,
It's
yes, I know which one you mean. Yes, I know which one you mean. Yes.
It's basically the one where Odo's dying, and it's before where they trying to find a cure, but also they're trying to work out how to defeat the Dominion from, and Kira is training all of the Cardassians in guerrilla warfare and whatnot. That is just an amazing episode. But
I will make a change. I want either a DS9 episode or season 4.
Yeah.
Season 4.
Okay.
Because I want Synoiz to really go through season 4, and I want him to stop after Terra Prime, because that's the last episode, and then I want him to say to me, "Yeah, okay, this had potential."
I don't want that to happen. Anyway,
Okay, I'll be ready to spin the wheel, everybody.
Hold on, you haven't asked me what episode I want. Obviously,
I already know what you want, you bitch.
To be fair, hilariously, obviously it won't work like this because, to be fair, the chances would be absolutely incredible. Well, I don't know.
Do you want to do?
I don't know how. I don't know how
episode?
luck. I don't know how probability works, but I suppose it has as much chance of landing on the next episode as it does of any other episode, technically, if it's totally random. But the idea is the next episode in Voyager after this is an incredibly good one because it introduces the Borg. It goes into the idea of going, now the Borg are in Voyager, bitches. That's going to be a couple of seasons arc. And so it's a really good one, but yeah, I'm thinking the probability is low.
Out of 910 episodes, your chances are 1 in 910.
That's it, but that's the same as getting anything, so technically.
Yeah.
But anyway,
are we ready to spin the wheel?
Okay, come on, everyone in the chat, get ready to shout
Double.
In 3, in 2, in 1, and oh god, the anxiety! I've just seen 2 Vics.
Come on.
Double! The Next Generation Evolution. This is Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 3, Episode 1. This is the beginning of decent TNG. This is a really, really good episode. This is, we get cotton uniforms, we get the Picard maneuver, beginning. We get, what's his face from, I've just seen the word the egg, and I just thought of Lee. Where is it? There he is. He is played by Ken Jenkins from Scrubs.
Oh god, yes, I know this one. Yes.
He is in this. So the synopsis for this one, guys and gals: an obsessed scientist arrives on the Enterprise to perform a once-in-a-lifetime experiment. Accidentally released nanites, however, threaten both it and the ship. So basically, Crusher fucks up episode 28. Oh wow, this is going to be a good one. This is a good one. Huzzah! Oh, everyone plays a role as well. This is going to be really good. So that is Season 3, Episode 1, Star Trek The Next Generation, Evolution. Computer, take us back to the 2-person screen. Oh, it almost
Get me a pizza.
It almost sounded like a mouse click.
Computer.
Hello, computer.
Hello, computer.
Not now, Madeline. Guys, that has been our 2-hour and 14-minute review of Star Trek Voyager's episode.
With a 30-minute review of the episode in the middle somewhere.
And a 1-hour review of the local elections.
Fuck the Tories. Fuck them.
This has been so much fun. I have enjoyed every single fucking minute of it. I would like to firstly thank Science Officer Synoiz for being here tonight. I would like to thank everyone in the live chat who has kept on talking all the way through this and not fell asleep once. I'm looking at you, Paul.
I'm still looking at Mummy Goodwill.
What did you...
Hello.
She sent me a text and said, big kiss to Graham. What... delete.
I love
What did you think of the episode? Leave a comment below. If you liked this review, if you liked us going on tangents and being unhinged, click that like button. If you didn't like it, click that like button. And hopefully, every time I say hit that like and click that like, there's a little illumination going on the little toolbar below.
Is there?
Hopefully, I don't know.
Mm.
I found a little hint and tip that this works, but hit that like button. You can find all the friends of Trekking Up North.
If I say subscribe to the channel, press the subscribe
to
button.
the channel. Yeah, press
squeeze the
subscribe.
teat.
Squeeze the teeth.
It's not doing anything.
Caress the bell. If you like Trekking Up North, please subscribe to all of our friends down there. We have got Captain's Quadrant, we have got the Shuttle Pod Show, we've got Unplanned Trek, and these are all the shows that I've definitely not been part of. We have got the Clone Star podcast I've been part of. We've got Captain's Quadrant I've been part of. We've got the Shuttle Pod Show I've been part of. We've got Unplanned Trek I've been part of. We've got Trek Culture I have not been part of yet. We have got FiQueens. We've got JL Soryu, who's an amazing YouTuber who has been on. We have got someone called the Velvet Snatch down there as well. We have got Mike's LCARS Workshop, who lovingly did the U.S.S. Adequate patch that you saw in the promo video for the Velvet Snatch. He developed that. He's given me a lovely wallpaper. It's quite weird. I've got a little certificate from him confirming that I am captain of the Adequate, and he's done all the patches. So great things are coming from Mike Overton. If you like free Star Trek wallpapers, go check out the link below for Mike's LCARS Workshop. Captain's Quadrant, next time they air, wish Joe well. If you like Nerdy Up North and you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Check out all of our socials below. We are everywhere, so you can find us everywhere. We have got a wonderful community. We have got a wonderful Twitch channel, which I may be back next week, depending if certain bullshits are not holding me back. Cousin Truckwill may be making an appearance. Science Officer Synoiz, are you twitching after this show?
I will be twitching after this. I don't know
playing?
what I'm going to play. Genuinely don't know what I'm going to play. I've been playing a lot of Inscription lately, but I don't know if it's very exciting to watch. So I might...
At
I
least
don't
you
know.
didn't have a candle.
Yeah, oh my god.
Bastards.
But yeah, I'm watching this on my Samsung dishwasher. I'm so confused. But yeah, no, and then this weekend is a big, scary one for me because it is press day on Sunday. So on Sunday, tomorrow night, I'm going to Alnwick Gardens to stay at Alnwick Castle again as one of the finalists.
Breaking news.
Oh,
Breaking news.
sausage.
It looks like Skydance will be acquiring Paramount instead of Sony and Apollo.
Who is Skydance?
Skydance are the ones that run the Kelvin Star Trek movies.
Oh dear. That's
Sorry to
a
interrupt.
massive problem, isn't it?
Is it also raining outside? Of course
Yeah,
it's fucking raining.
that's bad news, I guess. But
I've just washed my car, you bastards. Anyway, big weekend for Science Officer Synoiz and the Velvet Snatch. Go ahead.
that's it. Yeah, so we'll be the press day on Sunday at Alnwick Gardens, which is very scary. So I hope I get my makeup right. And it's basically where we talk to the press. We basically talk about what our platform for the campaign is and whatnot. And we get loads of lovely photos taken and stuff. And we get to kick everything off, which is quite good. We also get taught the choreography for the big day, where we basically get to find out like how we're meant to move around the stage and how we're meant to do all of the musical cues and stuff, which is the stuff that I will be messing up. So I'm a bit terrified about that.
No, you will not be messing that up. We have
I'm
got
terrified by
all the faith in you. When it comes to support the Nerdy Up North cult,
when
will
it
be
comes to
with you.
choreography, it is the thing. If it was lines, I could learn them. If it's choreography, it's like, oh God, where am I meant to be standing at this moment? So I'm gonna have to just get someone to actually just film the whole thing so that I know what I'm meant to be doing, basically. But yeah, and that's Sunday, and then obviously I'm coming back on the bank holiday Monday, so it's quite good. I get to spend 2 days in the castle that Harry Potter was filmed at, which is quite good.
It's like the Elsa, not like the Elsa.
Fuck J.K. Rowling.
So what are you up to then? Are you
many classified things that I'm not allowed to discuss for legal reasons.
Brilliant.
Moving on.
That's us done then. Yeah, cool.
That's us
So
done.
please watch all of the other shows that we have on Nerdy Up North. They're all going to be linked in the description. And you can join us on Monday, Monster Monday. We have the wonderful Herbert West Reanimator film that
Jeffrey
basically
Combs!
has Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs!
If I am back from Anik and I'm not knackered out of my skin, I shall be tuning into live. Otherwise, I'll be doing what I
fucking
usually do, and I'll be watching it in the background at work.
Yeah, I'm playing catch up at the moment because I've been busy. Goodwill is really an international man of mystery. Thank you for saying I look like Austin Powers Lee. And on that depressing note, guys, gals, treks and trekkers, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Trekking Up North. We will be back next week to review Season 3, Episode 1 of The Next Generation, Evolution! But until then, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Stay safe. Live long and prosper. And as always, Miles?
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 I got a nut!